called feather bowling.
Does anybody care what Grayson Murray has to say? Hey everyone, welcome to Reading the Green. I'm Mike, joined with Kyle and Jordan. We got some new intro music. It's Tuesday, January 18th. Happy birthday, Dad. I hope you start listening. But anyways, we have a good show tonight. We're gonna talk about the Sony Open, preview the American Express, and hit on a whole bunch of stuff in sports and everything else going on. So remember, we're Reading the Green. We are the only golf DFS fantasy source that not only gives you the best plays of the week, but also tells you who the best fantasy pros are. You can find our content on YouTube, on our Reading the Green channel. Check us out on any of the major podcast platforms, or find us on Twitter at RTG Podcast DFS. So let's jump into it, guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Yeah, all good over here. Just watching some hockey, ready to talk about some golf.
How's Kyle? How's dry January? We got 1 week left. Dry January.
1 week. I'm looking forward to next Tuesday. Get back on the horse. Actually, so Monday night I have a workouting, and that's going to be my first beer in the month, and looking forward to it.
I brought you a nice Untitled Arts NA.
Yeah, as far as NAs go, this one's not too bad. So I bought that 6-pack. I've been drinking on the Tuesdays over the week. There's still beers left. The only time I've drank NA beers left. The only time I've drank any is on Tuesdays. So it's
Perfect.
It's something to keep me occupied, I guess.
Jordan, I saw you had a prize.
Yes, the one with the Miraculum. Saw it at the liquor store today and couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, it's a good.
That's been a while.
Speaking of Pryes, what is the name? So Pryes is a brewery in Minneapolis, and they have a crazy game inside their tap room. It's like a lawn bowling, but it's a curved. You know what I'm talking about?
I've never been in there. Jordan definitely knows what that is, though.
I don't know the name of it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a curved playing field, and you roll them, but they look like a wheel of cheese.
Okay. All right.
Somebody, if you know what game I'm talking about, please hit us up on Twitter or something. Let us know.
It's called feather bowling.
Feather bowling. That'll be the next DFS horizon, maybe.
Yep.
Stand by for our live feather bowling outing.
Quick shout out to Kyle here as we get started. I had a decent week on the NFL slate, and because you told me to stick with Buffalo, and I was the only player in my contest that drafted Josh Allen, and obviously he played a historic game, and Singletary had a good game too. So thank you, Kyle, for helping me there.
Glad the advice was good. Some of the reasons behind it weren't, but hey, the outcome is all that matters.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone saw that coming. The 5 touchdown passes, but kind of a weird. There were some weird games in the NFL over the weekend, but
a lot of blowouts. Especially the later games, were struggling to keep my interest.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had some late golf going.
Well, that's true. That I do like. I think the second week of doing that, I appreciated it more in the evening this past weekend than I did for Kapalua. So
yeah, I appreciate it in the evening, but I do miss like 8 a.m. Saturday, those East Coast events. Yeah.
Well, we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the Midwest this week.
They just need to space them out more. Let's just have, start at 8 a.m. and finish at 10 p.m. Make it work.
Okay, Jordan. We'll send that one to the PGA Tour. But in the meantime, you said you had some swag golf updates. We didn't talk about it, so I'm excited to hear it. I thought one thing that I thought we should do is just every now and then remind listeners what swag is, in case folks aren't all that familiar with it. We talk about it a lot, but
good idea. Swag is a limited release golf head cover company that also does, hats and shirts and all the rest of it. But they do super limited release putter covers, the occasional fairway wood, and the occasional driver. And that was so for last week for the Sony Open, they did a pina colada themed putter cover, a pineapples themed putter cover, and a what was they called it? The hibiscus driver.
Mm-hmm.
So right, flowers, and their big thing is
That was really
cool. Managed to get all three of them, which wasn't too difficult with my proprietary method for getting them.
Completely legal.
Completely legal, yes. No bots here. But I like the ones that I'm not going to keep, I sell immediately because they're always worth more value day of than later. But bad news this week, the one that I sold immediately was a special, so missed out on about $800 worth of value if I wouldn't have sold it immediately.
No way.
Yeah.
Which one?
The driver.
Oh, so you were one of the 10% that got the
Yes.
special drop.
Yep, and the special was way cooler than the regular, so it was immediately, $1,000, $1,200. But I like to think of it, I've sold enough things day of that a week later we're going for half the price.
Mm-hmm.
That I will take my chances, my 10% chance of getting an expensive one to sell everyone.
It's funny because you sent us a picture of the special version, and Kyle and I were both asking, like, oh, like, what is this? Like, how many people get them? Like, what is your take? And you're like, oh,
Have you ever got one?
Yeah.
And you were like, nope, I sell right away. I don't want to think about it. And then this happened.
Yep. And the only reason I knew was because I bought 2 covers in one order, so I had to open the box. Oh. Normally, you just leave it packaged up and just forward it on, so you don't even know. So this one, I literally, if I have to do a video opening it to make sure that I'm not screwing over whoever gets it. And I pulled it out, and I was like, oh, I don't need to send you the video. You got the special. Congrats. I was quite upset. But you get over it very quickly. And that wasn't my photo, by the way, but then I didn't tell you that I got it because I wanted to surprise you on the pod.
Man. I guess we're just on to the next release then, because we'll have cover of the month sometime later this month. And
yeah, they said that we should be getting something this week for that. They're doing they've got a tour concierge website that's separate that they do like $2,000 putters on, but they make one of.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so they're doing a release this Thursday where they're going to release they usually do 6 to 8 putters and then a couple goodies on top of it. But they make a fair amount of money every week.
So are you going for the tour release?
No, not the putters. I don't want to have $2,000 locked up in a putter.
You don't want to replace your Costco putter?
No, not. I do. I'm gonna get. When I go in to get fitted, I'm gonna do the putter one also, and just maybe it's the best putter for me. Buying it off the rack without having tried it, or maybe there'll be a better one out there. But
all right, well, more to come. More to come next week on how we're doing chasing swag golf releases.
Swag.
Okay, Sony Open. Let's get into the recap so we can eventually get to the good stuff here around the American Express. I'll start with a few tidbits on just kind of what unfolded over the weekend. So, too bad Kevin Na didn't really hang in there because there would have been more to make of this. But the whole Grayson Murray, Kevin Na Twitter feud, I think probably the 2 most unsuspecting people you'd expect to see in a Twitter feud. Does anybody care what Grayson Murray has to say?
No, I didn't even know who Grayson Murray
was. I didn't know. Yeah. I assumed it was some generic, just Twitter troll.
If you look at his Twitter history, he is a bit of a troll.
And he's doing most of that from his couch, not playing weekends, not playing in Hawaii. Like, it's pretty bold to call out a coworker like that when you're not even showing up to work.
Yep. Which, it's kind of annoying that he did it, but slow golfers are the worst golfers.
I know.
Right.
And Kevin Na, before he was a slow putter, he was like the Sergio type where he was milking the grip like, 18 times standing over a tee shot. And so the guy couldn't ever just pull the trigger. And so he's got a long history of it. But I just thought Grayson Murray just stepping up and taking a swing.
And then Na's response was awesome. And then there was other responses beyond that from other golfers. So they're all trying to engage. They're all trying to get that Tiger and Phil engagement money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We wouldn't be talking. No one would be talking about Grayson Murray without that tweet.
And here we are. He thinks he's got a chance.
Yep.
We talked about this in the rapid reaction on Sunday, but the Kapalua field played really well this week at YLI, which was the trend, and that showed up. So I think there's something similar that plays out at the American Express. So I'll probably be looking pretty closely at that. Henley packed it. I shouldn't say Henley packed it in on Sunday. He shot 29 on the front on Sunday afternoon. Like, he should have been running away with the golf tournament, and he was. And he just left the door open. He shot even par on the back, and or he shot one over on the back, I think, and he left the door open for Henley or for Matsuyama, and that was kind of it. But I wrote a note down here about the 3-wood that Matsuyama hit on the last hole, and I said, if you want to know the difference between like a scratch golfer and a professional, if you play with like a scratch golfer at like your club or whatever. Scratch golfers like that don't hit 275 yard 3-woods to 3 feet and stop it on a dime when all the pressure is on, unless they're lucky. Like, that shot was incredible, and he knew exactly what he was doing. And it was just a really cool way to finish off the tournament after the run that he made.
Yeah. Speaking of hitting 3-wood, so Henley on 18 goes fairway wood, not driver, puts it in that bunker. And granted, he doesn't move the ball from right to left. So it's what I think I saw the stat. It was the least held fairway in the PGA Tour. So you do that, and then you go to the playoff hole. You stepping up there with the same club again, or are you going to try to do something different? Because he went the same club and hit it in the same spot.
I think for a lot of guys, I actually was really surprised because I think for a lot of guys, they find comfort in their game plan. No matter the situation, this is the way I game plan the golf course, and I'm going to stick to that. I was actually really surprised. I think Hideki went back and pulled 3-wood. Right? He had driver out, and then he saw Henley hit in the bunker, and then he pulls 3-wood. And my first reaction was like, "Whoa, dude! Like, you had a plan. Just rip the driver. That's what you had in your hand." And
I think the last time it was out of necessity, and that was
sure.
Kind of one of the fun things to watch on the second 9. Is he was going? I mean, he was playing as aggressive as you see a guy play. He was going all out for everything.
Well,
question for you, Mike, as a resident scratch golfer.
Some days, sure.
Like, if Henley doesn't play right to left, you're a professional golfer. Hit your driver with a draw. It's not that hard.
Well, that's actually a concept that if you follow Scott Fawcett with Decade Golf, which is sort of a trendy course management philosophy, he will say that most pros play a predominant ball flight. And yes, they can work the ball both ways, but like most pros just prefer to go out there and hit their predominant shape 90% of the time. And, especially with the pressures on, like, it's really hard to go out there and be like, okay, well, I'm going to try to over exaggerate and hit this ball the other direction. Like, that can go a lot of wrong ways pretty quickly. And so some guys are better at it.
I just find it so, like, all he does all day, all year is swing that golf club. And you can't make it go a different direction.
Well, but the thing is, what's paid the bills is finding consistency in a certain
consistently shot. In the bunker, Russell Henley.
Yeah, well, Russell Henley's doing okay, but yes, he's got to figure out how to close things out on Sunday because it's becoming a thing. As far as our lineups, I don't think we were just talking about this, Kyle. The model looked really good, and I think we've just grabbed a few guys from the top end of the model that didn't pan out.
Yeah, it was hit or miss week. A little bit of user error in our end. And I think it's a unique event to have someone like Russell Henley, who was a DFS darling. A lot of people were on him. He had over 60% mention share. Lead all week and be there right at the end. Granted, he didn't win it. But just having that, and he had very high ownership. A lot of my cash contests, 50, 60%. So that was a little bit of a unique element. Corey Connors had a lot of love. He finished with a top 10 points-wise. Seamus Power was up there. So there was a lot of people that had high mention share or had a good mention power index. And looking at it, I felt like I should have had a better week in cash games. But can't win them all, and that's the fun. And make sure you win more than you lose. That's why we're here.
Well, and that's interesting that none of us even played the number one guy that was up there, Webb Simpson. Right? We were all off him,
but I had some Webb. Yeah.
All right.
And given his price and where he finished points wise on the week, he had a very, I would say, disappointing week.
Oh yeah.
The one thing that we did well was I think we appropriately faded Cam Smith, and
yes,
our model pointed to being cautious with him. And I think I commented that it wasn't, the low MPI wasn't due to his play. It was due to probably some of the better contributors staying off of him given his price. Like you would have had a stomach at above $11,000 and ends up missing the cut. And I'm very glad I didn't have that baggage in my roster.
The one player, Joel Dahman
got us.
If he made the cut, the weekend looks amazing.
Was he on the number? He was pretty close.
He did 3 under, so it did slide. He ended up being 2 off the number by the time it cut. But yeah, he makes it. It's a great weekend.
Well, to kind of wrap up the Sony Open talk, our leading contributor on the season and also having a decent week, Fantasy Pros, their picks make a lot of cuts. And I didn't have Henley this week, but if you're looking for a source that is going to produce cut makers, especially in fields that actually have a cut, that's one that I want to keep paying attention to because, if you're trying to just make sure you got some safety in your lineup, it's a great place to start. So with that, we'll take a quick break and come back, reminisce about when Jordan and I played PGA West a handful of years ago, and then get into our American Express picks. Hey everyone, welcome back. We have the second half of the show here, and we're going to preview the American Express tournament this weekend. Before we do that, just want to remind listeners that you can play DFS golf with us every week. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us a comment that you would like to participate, or find us on Twitter and do the same. We will extend you an invitation to join our DraftKings League every week. We're playing in DFS with our listeners. And so looking forward to doing that with you all.
Congrats to Mike for the W last week.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And then I'll give a shout out to second place too, Derek, who happened to be my gateway to the DraftKings world. Good job, Derek.
And look at that. Our listeners can just play against us and get some shout outs. And so that's what we look forward to. So American Express in La Quinta, California, we have a number of golf courses. This is it's a weird event, right? Like this used to be 5 rounds. It's played on multiple different courses. We've got 3 courses now. The PGA West Stadium course, the Nicklaus Tournament course, and La Quinta Country Club, which I think La Quinta was the easiest course on tour last year. But first,
Jordan, where's your La Quinta end joke there? Come on.
I've got lots of Holiday Inn Express jokes. I don't have any La Quinta ones.
But Jordan, I think I forgot this until about 2 weeks ago. We played PGA West Stadium course, not in 2018, which is when I thought it was, but in 2015.
Yep.
You and me and our wives went down to Palm Springs for New Year's and got a little golf in.
Yeah.
What do you remember? What do you remember?
That was the last time that my wife and I went solo on a trip with you and your wife because you showed up with food poisoning. And were no fun for 3 of the 4 days we were there.
I, no joke, threw up in the parking lot of the airport when we got there. So that flight into Palm Springs is kind of crazy too, because we come over the mountains, it's really windy. So not recommended to show up in Palm Springs with food poisoning.
Yeah.
Mike got sick on a New Year's Eve trip? I don't believe it.
Yeah.
might have happened again. Going to San Diego. We'll talk about that next week at the Farmers Preview because the same thing happened.
Yeah, no, Kyle, we need to go on a trip because the only one that New Year's trip that we've been on that Mike wasn't on, we all had a great time. Even though there was someone sick there that whole week also.
Yeah. We played a nice course then too. We'll have to talk at Harbor Town, so we'll talk about that later
wait
this
till
year.
it gets to Heritage.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. We got a lot of experience. I remember the PGA West Stadium course being pretty easy. I think I broke 70, and Jordan, you were probably 65-ish.
Oh yeah, I probably had 4 or 5 holes left at that point, but it was interesting. I think it was my first time doing true like winter golf. Because the fairways were green and it was fucking brown everywhere, but they were just setting up for the tournament.
They were. I think it was like the career builder.
Were getting set up. They weren't all up or anything, but
yeah, exactly. And so I'm pretty sure when they play this, I mean, I'm sure the course looks the same this weekend. So you'll see the brown rough, and which means you basically just get pristine lies.
I thought they'd spray paint it. You don't spray paint it for the pros?
I don't know.
Well, we have to tweet out that picture you guys had, so everyone can see what we're talking about. I know. I'm pretty sure we both hit the green on 17. They have an island green there with some rocks and all that, and I think we both hit the green. Yeah, we'll send out some photos. But anyways, yes, this is a challenging event to figure out. I guess maybe the point is don't try to figure it out and just draft the players you think are going to play the best, and it'll all just kind of work itself out. The one trend that I had that I want to throw out that I kind of teased out before was that 11 of the past 12 winners have played in Hawaii, one of the previous 2 weeks. So last week we talked about the Kapalua field being really good at Wailea. Now the Hawaii fields are really good at La Quinta. So something to think about. Which at this point, though, is probably
pretty much everyone.
I did have an interesting note in winners as well. 6 of the last 9 winners have been long shots, I believe.
Well, I think you got like Bill Haas twice.
Yeah,
Adam Hadwin.
Well, and then like Patrick Reed 9 years ago, I think it was, or 8 years ago. So all odds over plus 3,000. So there's going to be. It is a unique event. It's probably going to be someone down the leaderboard that takes the home.
Yeah. Well, they brought the Pro-Am back too. So these guys are also playing with an amateur partner for a good part of the weekend too. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on, and we'll just try to sort it out. You can't draft them in DFS.
Yeah,
much as you want to draft Steph Curry or something, you can't do it.
Someday when we make it big, the winner of the Sony Open DFS Listener Challenge will get to play in the Pro-Am.
Okay. All right. Another good. Yep. We'll put that in the suggestion box too.
Do it. Yep.
So if there's ever an event to go studs and duds in cash games, I think this is it.
This is it?
Yeah, that's not usually a strategy I use in cash contests. Kind of live in that 8,000 to 9,000 range, making sure you're getting guys to make the cut. But this week, the cut is after the 54 holes. So you're playing a different course each of the first 3 days and then come back to the stadium course on Sunday. So if you do have a guy that misses a cut, they're only missing out on 1 round as opposed to 2. We mentioned the long shots and the history there. And the field is kind of unique as well. It's top heavy. You got Rahm and Cantlay in there, who are obviously the top of our model from a mention share. A lot of people are on them, but they're at price points they're going to be tough to build around if you don't go, studs and duds. And then you get into the 8K range. There's a lot of question marks in that area.
Okay, so what else are you seeing? So you talked about Rahm, Cantlay being at the top. No surprise, they're 2 of the higher priced players. What else are you seeing right below them at the top of our model?
I'll go into my 3 picks from there. Answer, he's at 9,200, 40% mention share, a strong mention power index. So he's a positive differential, and so a lot of our good contributors are on him. So he's at that 9,200. So you can maybe mix in a little bit more of the mid tier using him to start your lineup. I like Bazoonholt this week. He's a little lower on the mention share side so far, but everyone that's on him has been really strong performer for us. So he comes in with a mention power of 100. And then a little bit off the board for my third play, and this is John Hugh, because he's only $7,100, but we need to find some value there, and he's a Sobel play. I'm going straight Sobel and his strong mention power index.
Sobel's argument, I think, for him was, hey, he gets 54 guaranteed holes. Like, he might play all right. So that's kind of what that kind of plays into your hand, which is let those long shots play 3 rounds and see if they can find something.
Yeah. And I mean, you're playing a different course every day.
Yep.
So you're not a good fit at one. Maybe you're a little bit
Exactly.
better.
That's a great point. Jordan, who you got your eye on this week?
I'm all in on Answer. He's looking good. The next one might come a bit of a surprise. You guys know I'm a Gopher fan, right? And Michael Thompson, I didn't know he was now playing on the PGA Tour, but he started for the Gophers in the 70s and is now on the PGA Tour. So I'm going all in on Michael Thompson as well this weekend. He's got pretty good mention share for us as well. So it's not like he's just some hack out there in the Pro-Am. So yeah, going all in on him.
I need some help here.
We don't even know where to go with that one.
Last week you're talking about Chubba Hubbard, and so
yeah,
okay.
Chubba didn't work out, so I'm switching from NFL. I'm now going NBA.
Michael Thompson played great last week at the Sony. He's sporting a new beard. He looks like a new man. I didn't recognize him. Yeah, I have no problem playing him this week. I know he's a little further down, but I actually really like that, Jordan.
Oh, good. I didn't even know he played last weekend. I was like, it's the first time I've ever seen Michael Thompson's name. But the other one that I'm going with, I'm going Jason Day. He's kind of lower, but he's cheap. Like your studs and duds is tough here, Kyle, because there's zero value in the duds, right? There's very few people in the $6,000 with many mentions at all. So studs, the duds are trying to find a needle in a haystack. So I'm going a little more middle of the road with the 7,000 and 8,000.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because there is not a lot of consensus when you get below that $8,000 range, and that's where our approach can be really helpful. We're saying, hey, somebody like a Jason Sobel has consistently been able to find value down there and can provide good plays to help you build out your lineup. And if there's anything else that speaks to the power of what we're doing, I think some of Jordan's analysis hits on it. Jordan says he didn't even realize Michael Thompson played last week, but this guy's winning money playing DraftKings DFS using our approach. So thank you, Jordan.
The only other guy that I'll throw out that I got my eye on that's right at the top 5 players in our model, Matt Wolff. He hasn't really played much all this last fall or really this winter yet, but he's got a lot of love this week, and I think if I can fit him with Answer, depending on what I can do a little bit further down the board, I think that might be interesting. He certainly has the length and the game to play well here. One other player I want to hear from you on, Kyle, just because you had a few notes, Ron Taylor Moore, and what to expect from him this week, because I think he's right there in the top 5 on our model, but maybe some question marks on his performance this week.
Yeah, I think he can be a great value play. We do need to watch him because he did withdraw last week. But I did see a great note as well for people with similar odds in Vegas. They're all priced at 8,000 this week or in draft. And Taylor Moore's only coming at 7,300, so I think he can be a great piece of the lineup if everything's okay on the injury front. So make sure to check him later in the day, Wednesday and into Thursday.
Yep. Cheers.
It's let's start at the top, because if you are going to maybe go down the board a little bit in your normal lineups, this is going to be a tough decision in tier 1. You got Jon Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, and Scottie Scheffler. And no offense to Scottie Scheffler, but I think most people are going to focus on Rahm and Cantlay. And according to our model, Rahm would be the play there. He has a higher mention power index and a higher mention share, and I know he's the best player in the world right now. He's hard to go away from, especially, it might be a tough decision over Cantlay playing on the West Coast swing where Cantlay traditionally plays well, but Jon Rahm is going to be my tier 1 play.
So which way, Kyle? See, I picked Cantlay, assuming most people would pick Rahm, right? Like this is where the tiers gets interesting because it's probably, 60, 30, and then 10 with Rahm, Cantlay. I don't even remember who the third one is at the moment.
Scheffler. Yeah, that's a great point. And this is something, especially in cash contests, there's maybe some philosophical differences just even in our group. Normally, I'm not overly scared of ownership in cash contests. It's a little bit different in tiers, especially tier 1 when you only have 3 guys. But if you stay off a guy like Rahm and he goes off and wins the thing, which he has done before, you're sunk. So would I rather him not have 70% ownership? Yeah, heck yeah. But if he's at 70% and wins and I'm on the 30% side,
you eat the chalk and you make it a 5-player game and hope that you differentiate somewhere else. I think that's kind of that's true about building any lineup, is that if you're going to eat the chalk somewhere, don't eat the chalk all the way up and down your lineup. Like make sure you differentiate somewhere else so that, so I don't have any problem taking Rahm here, but you got to find the other play elsewhere.
Yeah, this is where I see enough value in Cantlay at the lower ownership that I'm willing to do it here. I won't do it in the next 5 spots.
Exactly. So that's the same philosophy.
Yep.
And I think further down the tiers, there is going to be some tough decisions this week. So, like, for example, tier 4, you're getting into guys in that upper $8,000 range, which we said, hey, there's a lot of question marks. So I think there's going to be a lot of scattered ownership in those lower tiers.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our American Express preview. I know I'm going to be and I'm always interested to see courses I've played when they show up on TV and watch these guys do things that I couldn't ever imagine doing. A case in point.
You're telling me.
That's not the view, Mike. Yeah, our plus 1.5 handicap.
Okay, you're making somehow I've gotten like 3 strokes better at golf just sitting here drinking beer and talking about it, Jordan. Let's see. When I have one more kid this summer, how good my golf game really is.
Yeah, you struggled more this year than I've seen you struggle in a while. And you still shot 72 every time we were out.
Well, let's no one keeps track of these things. Anyways, other things to wrap up the night. Kyle, you had some other kind of some other DFS points. You want to talk a little NHL? I know we got games going on in the background here.
Yeah, rough night of NHL tonight, but we've been on a pretty good streak there. I think, Mike, you had a great 8-9 day stretch, and we've really tried to find something. So hopefully at some point in the future we can put out some hockey content for you as well. But things have been going well in that space.
Yeah, we have we found a bit of a groove in terms of finding some good value plays and working that to our advantage. So happy to engage with anyone on how to kind of play the NHL slates, but having a lot of fun doing that.
If you guys think I know nothing about PGA, I really know nothing about NHL, and I'm still winning money thanks to these 2 guys.
This actually is a really good point.
I literally copy one of their lineups every day, and I'm winning money. No thought at all on my part. So thanks, guys.
All right, well let's make sure that brief discussion doesn't jinx anything for us. We'll check back in a week. So yeah, I think that's about it. Right, like I said. Tweet us or find us on YouTube or any of our channels. If you want to play DFS with us on DraftKings, we would be happy to invite you to our listener contest, and certainly wish everyone the best of luck in whatever they're doing for the American Express. And we will talk to everybody next week for a very special Farmers preview, and we can relive our Torrey Pines trip where, yes, I was sick again on a New Year's trip to San Diego, but we got to play Torrey Pines South Course and had a ton of fun
with the stands up.
That
little tease for you.
That'll be part of the retelling. So you have to tune in next week. See ya.